Alright, so hopefully this is up and now working correctly. Hello, my name is Adam. I am the community manager for Franchise Hockey Manager 2. Uh, with me, as always, is Jeff, but Jeff is not quite here yet. He'll be delayed a few minutes, but we're going to kick off a little bit early. Thank you for coming and watching. As always, we are on a rotating schedule due to some requests of some of you people out here. And so right now we are looking towards the future. It is currently September 28th of 2016. The Winnipeg Jets did not have a very good season last season. They ended up in one of the last places in the league. What was good for them was they managed to get Austin Matthews with the first overall pick. So I'm going to flip to our lineups here. And we can see Austin Matthews is currently our number 2 center. And Kyle Connor, who is the Jets' first-round pick in 2015, who's currently playing for the University of Michigan, has decided to come out of college and is right now has moved up to our third line to try and find him a little bit more ice time and help improve his game. One of the things that people ask a lot, and I'm going to go back to our main menu here. Hi, Jeff, you there?
Hi, I'm here. Sorry, a little bit late coming in. I didn't know you were starting this early.
No, that's okay. The other stream ended early, so I figured we would just get started right away ourselves.
Yep, blame it on the baseball guys.
Yeah. So one of the things you might notice, and I'm just going to click on one of these random injuries right here. It says bad news for Edmonton and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins hurt. If we click and we can read, we can see that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been hurt for 4 weeks. And if I click on Calgary right winger Michael Frolik injured, he's also been hurt for roughly 4 weeks. Some people find the fact that
Yeah, one thing I should clarify there.
Yep.
Since you're seeing 4 weeks a lot, there is a threshold for what injuries get reported. If there's a minor injury that's only going to put a guy out day to day or for a week or two, that's probably not going to show up in the news. It's generally the stuff that's 3 weeks to a month or longer that'll show up in the news. So if you're only seeing stories about the longer injuries, that doesn't mean the other ones aren't happening. It's just those are the ones worth reporting.
No, absolutely. You'll notice throughout the season you'll have players who get hurt for a week, some who get hurt for 2 weeks, and some who get hurt for much longer. What I was going to point out is if you go to this, if you find injuries are annoying you or you simply want to shut them off, you can go to the game tab, go to setup/options, and right here you have injury options, which allows you to turn on or turn off injuries. You can turn down how frequently an injury happens and injury frequency training. Lots of different tools we can use to mess around with things. I simmed a 1 game pass just to see what had happened since our last game, and unfortunately, and I'm just going to go to the schedule here, we played, what day is it, sorry. We played Ottawa and we lost 5-1 in the sim. And they got Puliarvi in the draft apparently, who had 2 goals and 1 assist. Because of course he did. And we can see our overall game ratings are kind of all over the place. Dustin Byfuglien again did not have a great game with a game rating of 44. He was -2, 4 shots on goal, and a little over 20 minutes played. Kyle Connor again didn't have a great game, 46 rating, but only played 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So that's got to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. Brian Little and Andrew Cup.
Yeah, really anything at this point, just over a short basis, like 1 or 2 games. I wouldn't read too much into the game ratings on those, but if you get 5, 6 games in and you're still seeing those 40 ratings, you got a problem and you have to make some changes.
Yeah, well, I was looking at this and I saw that Kyle Connor had only played 7 minutes and 11 seconds, and I thought, you know what, maybe I'm going to try moving him up and see if he can produce a little bit more offense with Brian Little.
Yeah, it's preseason. It's not really going to hurt anything if he's getting a little more ice time than that.
Yeah, so I have, and I'm just going to take, oh, that's right, Michael Hutchison was hurt. Forgot about that. So I'm going to send Eric Comrie back down. And I'm going to address Michael Hutchison to put him back in my roster. Move him up. And we have a game against Vancouver today. So, Jeff, should we play this game or just skip through it?
You just want to beat my Canucks, right?
Well, I don't know. I'm tempted to see what happens. I think we both... Speaking of which, let's maybe just take a quick peek and see how Vancouver's roster is here. So, let's find it. Vancouver's roster looks fairly similar to what they currently have.
Yeah.
Brisebois.
To point out here, I think they were rated a little bit generously in this version that you're playing with the next update that's coming out, the post-trade deadline one. I toned that down a little bit. So the guys Higgins is down on the farm now. So's Prust. I don't see Preston there. I guess they got rid of him.
I think he might have got traded.
Yeah.
So Guillaume Brisebois is on the team right now.
Yeah, looks like a 19-year-old rookie made the roster.
Oh, wait, what is this? Mark Stahl is on the Canucks.
That happened.
I have no idea.
What did we give up for it?
Is there a way for me to find out?
Yep, open up his player profile and look in the history. And it'll give you the trade that moved him over.
Traded.
Or maybe signed as a free agent.
Yuri Yokapaka. To get Mark Stahl. Okay.
Might have been a salary dump then.
Yuri Yokapaka.
I'm guessing the Rangers were maybe in cap trouble and needed to...
Well, yeah, Yuri Yokapaka got traded. Got traded on June 22nd, then got traded again on July 7th. It's a quick flip.
Yeah, that's actually something we've been working on with this new update, getting rid of the tendency of the AI to trade for somebody and then trade him again right away, or trade right after a guy's been signed as a free agent. So you shouldn't be seeing that after the next one.
Okay. Let's see. Marcus Johansson is on the team. And the Canucks have made some decent moves here to try and turn things around.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd actually do that in real life, but apparently not.
Oh, he signed as a free agent on September 1st. That's not bad. I don't mind those moves. Okay, well, this game could actually be fairly interesting. So let's play it and see what happens. So I want to go to the Play tab, click Play versus Canucks. Ryan Miller still in net. So I'm going to go to Action Condense just for a little bit more action. Now, I was lucky enough to actually be at the Jets game on Saturday night, which was versus the Montreal Canadiens this past week, which was a great game to be at. To see the Jets actually score a second hat-trick in the season, which means I've actually seen 2 hat-tricks this year, and a goal from center ice. So that's probably nothing. I'll never see that again. Jets have been kind of odd with that. I mean, it took them till year... Was it last year that I think they finally got 2 hat-tricks last year. That was the first hat-trick since the teams had moved from Atlanta.
Yeah, I think you guys are, still 3 or 4 points ahead of us in the standings now, or behind us, rather.
Oh, behind, yeah.
So...
It's a very difficult thing. I'm sorry to see them lose, but at the same time I'm okay with it. I'm okay with them losing.
Oh yeah, I have no shame at all about it now. I want the Canucks to lose as much as possible and get that high draft pick.
Yes.
4 or 5 picks are all pretty solid, and then might be a bit of a drop off. So if we can get up into that top group, I'm not going to mind that at all.
Yeah, it bugs me, being that we're both in Canada. And we have 2 major networks in Canada that cover sports. You have TSN and you have Sportsnet. Both of them heavily favor the Toronto area. And so when we're seeing the Maple Leafs do a tank job, all you hear about is how Austin Matthews is going to be the savior for the Leafs. You disagree?
And well, lately what? Disagree with the Leafs get excessive coverage? Of course, it's perfectly fair. I'm not being sarcastic at all. lately it's been the Nylander show since they called him up.
Well, yes, that too. But it was funny. There was, I can't remember. I think I was maybe watching one of TSN Radio's shows on like the TSN channels, and they were talking, and somebody was naming all the Canadian teams and completely skipped over Winnipeg, and I'm like, "Yep, that seems about right." Thanks, Toronto media. Way to make everybody feel good.
Yep, nothing new.
What was that other team? Oh yeah. So the Jets right now, well, we're actually leading in shots. That's not bad. And we're only one behind in faceoffs. That's actually pretty good for the
It's
Jets.
just the exhibition season. The Canucks are coasting.
What do you think the Jets are doing? Penalty coming up. Oh, a Sedin penalty. Well, that doesn't happen too often. So, Jeff, you're talking about the patch. Is there any updates on how that's coming for our audience?
So far, so good. Everything seems to be going along pretty well this week. We've got all the updates done. We're just trying to work in as much as possible in these last few days before we let it go. I don't want to give you a definite time frame yet, but we're getting close again. Found a couple of little problems, nothing too earth-shattering. I think I've managed to address a few things that people have been asking for, like picking up the trading on draft picks. It's not, you're not seeing first-round picks flying around like I think some people would like to see. There's definitely more of them moving. You'll see a few deals for picks right before the draft day and right around the trading deadline.
Okay.
That's good. Like I said earlier, we've worked on getting the tendency of the AI to sign or trade for a guy and then move him again right away. We're cutting down on that a little bit. It's kind of limited in what we can do with the way the AI works right now. It's going to be something we're going to be opening up again in the development of FHM3, and we'll be able to do a little bit more with it because we're completely restructuring the whole way the AI management AI works. Right now we're a little bit limited in what we can do, and I don't want to tinker with it too much because that tends to throw out other things out of whack if I make a major change.
Yeah.
But it's definitely I've seen some improvement in it this week, and there's a few other little things that people have requested that we've no problems we've noticed that have gotten fixed. The prospects for the next 3, even 4 drafts have gotten completely overhauled, and we've toned down there's a lot of players that get generated at the start of the game to make sure those first 2 or 3 drafts have an appropriate talent level. So now that we've got enough real players rated in there, I've scaled that back a bit. So you should have a decent picture of how the next 2 or 3 drafts come out.
Excellent. And that's good to know, especially as we push forward with this stream. Also, if you did not notice today, the Franchise Hockey Manager blog got a new blog written by one of our friends from Gamehounds. And the link just got posted by Night Attack in the OOT Development's Twitch stream. It is regarding his introduction to the Historical League. He started playing as the 1970 Boston Bruins. And how that's starting to work for him. It should be an interesting thing to follow. So if you haven't given it a read, you should. And the Jets have just went up.
If you haven't taken a look at the historical mode yet,
yep.
You got one.
Yeah, so the Jets just got a second goal here, which is great. Tyler Myers, assisted by Jacob Truba and Andrew Ladd. Andrew Ladd had the first goal, assisted by Truba and Shifley. Not a bad
Canucks
first.
Probably headed for another long season.
Well, let's see. We ended up here. We had 2 takeaways to Vancouver's 0, 9 faceoffs won to 11 for Vancouver. 8 shots that missed the net. Well, that is very typical Winnipeg Jets hockey. 10 shots total. And this is a big surprise. 2 penalty minutes for the Winnipeg Jets versus 10 minutes for Vancouver. That is not a very good...
Okay, that explains a lot.
That's not a very good start for them. P-Wog66 says, "Go Wings." I hope you're referring to in real life because there isn't the Red Wings playing, but I am also a Red Wings fan, and I'm a little bit worried that they might actually miss the playoffs this year. Something
It's
they
going to happen eventually.
Well, it hasn't happened for what is it? Almost a quarter of a century now.
Yeah, I know. I think I've been predicting the Wings will finally get old and run out of steam for about 15 years now.
Well, there's something that Ken Holland seems to be able to do is bring in talent to find more talent.
Yep.
Which is something that you very need. And you can see that as more and more of his proteges end up being GMs. I mean, there's Yzerman in Tampa, Nail in Dallas. Who else? It's basically.
If you're going to steal a management guy from another organization, Detroit's the one to go to.
Well, it's that or Chicago now, basically.
Yeah.
Chicago seems to be adding more and more with Winnipeg and Montreal. Oh, Wheeler scores, adding a third goal. All right. Wheeler's and Matthews gets a point. Good. Excellent. And we can see the Jets are kind of getting shots from all over the place, and even goals are coming from all over the place here.
Yeah, Canucks, not so much. The left point they're getting a lot of shots from, but down the middle, but other than that.
Oh. It always makes me a little bit worried when you see a shot coming from center ice. Wog 66 says, isn't Scotty B in Chicago now too? Yes, he is working with his son. He's an advisor, I believe.
Yeah, it's not really clear how much of a say he has. I think it's not as much now as it was maybe a couple of years ago when they got the cup, or the first cup, I mean. But yeah, he's got to be pushing 80 now. He's getting up there.
Oh, I think he's a little bit past that. There's an interesting stat. Claude Julien just passed him for quickest 400 wins, I believe, right? I believe that's what was just passed, and we're talking about how great it was because Claude Julien had done it. But I think the stat was something like it was... Sorry, Jeff, you going to say something?
No, just going to say, I just looked it up. Scotty Bowman is 82 years.
82 years old. Well, that sounds about right.
And still going.
Yeah. Well, he's been retired now from coaching for... He retired after the 2002 Cup, I believe, right? So that's 14 years.
Yeah, that was the last one.
It's a long time ago now.
Doesn't seem that long.
No, it does not. But yeah, Claude Julien recently passed him for quickest to 400 wins, but Scotty Bowman did it in a few... Was it, I think, like 76 more games or something like that, and that was... There was 100 and some wins Julien had in overtime or in shootout. So stats now are a little bit different than they were back then.
And Bowman was actually, his first 4 or 5 years in the league were with an expansion team, so kind of impressive that he still got it that quickly, even with starting out with the Blues like that.
Well, he went to 2 straight Stanley Cups, right? So.
Well, yeah, that was when the West Division was got a finals. It was still impressive because I think they had Chicago in the division at that point, and they still managed to get by them. But was it they got swept twice?
I believe so, yeah. In both finals, they were swept. Yep. But that's understandable And Ratcast, who I believe is Dave from Gamehounds, has come on.
Hey, Dave.
And so we continue as we're up 3-0 with 27 shots to 20 with 11 minutes left in the third period. Okay, P Log asks, do you think the NHL will phase out shootouts and go back to ties? What do you think?
Not a chance at all.
Yeah, there's
Never. Too
no.
TV friendly to have the shootout.
Yeah, well, I mean, they themselves have realized that shootouts have gotten overused a bit, and so they tried to phase them back with this 3-on-3, which in turn they really wanted it to be 4-on-4, then 3-on-3, but the Players Association kicked up a storm on that, and so there's still going to be a little bit more, and it's 4-0. But I don't ever see that coming back. Although personally, I kind of hate the idea of the loser point myself. I'm not a fan of that.
I like the 3-point system where you get 3 for for a regular win, 2 for overtime or shootout, and 1 and still have the loser point in there, but a real win is worth more points.
Well, I'd be okay with that. There's just something not great about, you got 1 point because you lost a game. That just does not seem right to me. Oh, and the Canucks finally get a goal. McCann from Johansson.
See, I didn't even have to deliberately jinx your shut up by mentioning it.
Well, we got
it was tempting, but
5 minutes left. That's not too bad. Yeah, it's just, one of those things where I just don't see that ever changing. And Ratcast, or Dave from Ganghounds, asks, and I'm pretty sure he asked this on the forum, but we'll dive into this a little bit. Is there any way you can get hints from the AI? I'm losing all the time.
Well, the easiest way to do it is just to go with let the AI set up your organization or lines, and then the default are generally pretty solid. So as long as you're not doing anything crazy with them, that shouldn't mess things up too badly. The main thing is, if you want some hints, watch these streams that we're doing. I think the historical one that we do on alternate weeks, after this one, I get a little bit more into the details of the tactics and scouting and how to build your organization. Yeah. But even, we take a look at how to improve different things, although I think we may have overdone it because I don't like seeing the Canucks lose like this.
Well, again, we want to have some balance on our streams. We don't want everyone to be showing tactics, but we will go a little bit into that today to see. So it ended up 5-1 win for the Jets, which is great. 34 shots on net. Face-offs, we still got destroyed on face-offs, 39-31. But let's just take a look at the box score here. Jacob Trouba's number 1 star with 3 assists. Andrew Ladd still with the Jets. Number 2 with 1 goal, 1 assist. Brian Little, number 3 with 1 goal. Winnipeg out-hit Vancouver 18-6. Penalty minutes for Vancouver, 26 minutes. Well, there's the difference in the game, huh?
Yeah, 9-2 on the power plays. The referee and the in-game referee is actually set up that so if one team gets a ridiculous string of penalties, there is a tendency to swallow the whistle a bit and wait for make the next call on the other team. But in this case, the Canucks must have done something pretty stupid. It looks like we had a 5-on-3 at one point in the first, and oh man, that is ugly. 6 power plays in a row, capped off by Burrows getting a 10-minute misconduct after interfering with the goalie. Yeah. Nice going, Alex.
Well, let's keep in mind here, Tyler Myers got a shorthanded goal in the first period. Just to rub it in a little more. But we can go take a quick look down here from our balanced lines, and we can see pretty good numbers from straight across. Kyle Connor still a little bit low. That's okay. Tyler Myers is a little low. But much better numbers overall. Okay. P. Log 66 asks, how does the game handle if 2 goalies get hurt?
We have to cheat a little bit in that case because we can't put a non-goalie into goal in just the way the system works. So it will keep the second goalie in, but if I'm remembering, his injury will become active at the end of the game.
Yeah, it would be really hard to make sure that happens. So we just got notified that Andrew Kopp is injured. Ooh, knee inflammation. He's gone 3 weeks. So I am going to have to... I think I should put him on the injury list. Because that's 14 days, right? I believe.
It is right now in the game. I switched. That's in the next update. It's going to be going to the 7-day minimum,
Okay, so I'm going to put Andrew
which
Kopp
is
on.
the actual NHL limit.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to go down to the Manitoba Moose and see if... Ooh, Eric Comrie's very upset that he was sent down. Nick Patan is a little bit hurt and still screaming mad that he's on the AHL team. Seems about right. So I'm going to go and give Chase DeLeo a chance to come up and see how he does. Alright, so back here. So, Ratcash, you asked how to, or you were asking about how to help your AI. If you go to your lines, and I need to go back to my roster here and put Chase DeLeo on my actual roster, and I'm going to throw him in before I forget. You can go to this action button here, and if you click on it, it won't show up in the stream because my stream still is not showing the drop downs. There's options to clear lines, Ask Assistant, or AI Setup Organization. Using Ask Assistant or AI Setup Organization should give you some input on how your lines are going to be. If we wander over here to Tactics, you still have this action button here, although you can't click on it. But you can go into the Tactics here, and again, Jeff covered over a lot of this, and I covered in it too, how we can change our ice time targets, so how much we want our first line, second line, third line, fourth line to play, and even the power play units, and what they're using. So are they shooting? Are they passing? Or how are they coming into the zone? Are they normal play? Are they physical play? Or are they trying to avoid penalties? And how are they checking? Offensive risk taking, and tempo. For my fourth line, and I'm just going to flip to it here really quick. My tempo, they're only playing 10 minutes, so I want them skating really hard for those 10 minutes. They're going to take some chances, but they're going to try and score goals. We can, if we use the rink here, to actually change where players are depending on where the puck is, each of these zones. We can see as I click through, changes where players are. I haven't made too many adjustments to what the game is, except for when the puck is in the opposite corner, the defenseman will slide out into the middle for the hopes of a better shot. And again, your team settings, so... Yep, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ratcast is asking if the AI can set up tactics or suggest anything. Yeah, there is a coaching option where you can delegate all the tactics to the AI if you don't want to touch that at all. Right now, it doesn't have a suggestion mode, so you basically can either have it turned on, and the AI will be making active decisions about your tactics, or make your own decisions but not actually edit anything, in which case you just get the standard set of tactics, which will be pretty reasonable for most teams. You may want to do a little bit of customization yourself.
Yeah, so you can find that in your Manager tab under Team Control Settings. You can see here, I am the GM. I choose to set my lineup, set my tactics, do the roster move transactions, react to trades, draft players, but I let the scouting and setting training is done by the assistant. Just makes my life a little bit easier. So I'm going to finish for today. And we'll see. Joe Thornton injured during practice. He has suffered tricep tendonitis and expected to miss 13 days. This isn't really the way I saw my season turning, Thornton said. Well, 13 days out is not too harsh, but he will probably miss his opener.
Yeah, and it's still a preseason, so he's may not even miss any games out of that.
Yeah. So we see.
And who we got today? The Rangers or the Islanders?
I will check in 1 second. Mike Camilleri is also gone for 3 weeks. Okay, so players falling all over the place. We are playing the Islanders. Ratcast again says, I just found the WHA. I didn't know it was playable.
Yep, totally playable. Although when you get to the end in 1979, or 79, 78, 79 is the last season. If you're still running a team at that point, you get unceremoniously dumped as general manager. If you've got one of the four teams that went over to the NHL at that point, you'll have to either, the easiest way to do it is to turn commissioner mode on and just on July 1st, 79, take over the team that you were managing. But if you want to play before then, you can do the whole history of any of the WHA franchises, as long as, or at least as far as they got. A lot of them went out of business after a year or two.
As was the way with the WHA. Or move from city to city, like a traveling circus.
Yep, Philadelphia Blazers, Vancouver Blazers, no, actually, was it Miami Screaming Eagles, where they never actually played a game. Philadelphia Blazers, where they played one season. I think they were in a couple of years in Vancouver as the Vancouver Blazers, then eventually the Calgary Cowboys. I think that was the end of it.
I believe Calgary Cowboys was the last one. My lineup. Something is wrong with my lineup. I'm missing a penalty killer on. So what do I have? I'm going to put Kyle Connor out there instead. He's going to go out there with Brian Little. I'm actually going to move Brian Little up to my number one penalty killer. And yeah, okay, that's better balance. Alright, and I think that's my only blank spots. Don't see anybody else. So let's try playing a game again so we can go. I'm actually really going to be interested to see what happens with the Islanders as well. There's some worry there whether that team's actually going to survive in Brooklyn. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not sure where else they're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's a theoretically a nice arena, just a terrible one for hockey. Weird sight lines and not that big.
Well, when
it's a great location for them. I mean, they could...
Oh, first shot of the game. That's not fair. Yeah, like when the CEO of the and the name of the arena is suddenly the Barclays Center says, "Well, if you're having problems, just watch the game on your phone." That's not really helpful. I'm here
yeah, not a whole lot
to watch the game. We'll have to see if there's any changes coming on that. I mean, there's some calls for them to try and go back to the Nassau Coliseum, but I believe they've started the renovations of that place, and it's only going to be down to, 11,000 seats? I think.
Yeah, so it's not like that's going to be practical for them to go back in there.
No. I mean, unless they somehow stop the renovation and kind of refigure that, but who knows, maybe we'll end up having the Kansas City Scouts back. They kind of pushed a few years ago for more Kansas City. Or maybe that's where Quebec ended up getting a team. Much to the chagrin.
Yeah, they were trying for the Islanders a couple of years ago, weren't they?
I think so.
And we'll see but we've got to see what happens with expansion first, if that's going to happen with Quebec and Vegas, or if that's dead in the water again.
Well, they kind of made it sound like it might be dead, at least in Quebec. I mean, I really don't think the NHL wants to move to Quebec. Quebec's kind of like that safety.
Yeah, you don't really get that impression at all.
They're the valve.
It's nice to have as a threat to relocate other teams if somebody else is giving, if the city doesn't want to help another team with the arena. But when it comes to actually moving a team there or putting a new one in, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's just, can the Florida Panthers continue to bleed money? Can the Carolina Hurricanes continue to bleed money? And I mean, Quebec could make money.
I mean, even Nashville, even though they're doing relatively well now, and I think their attendance is up, they're still getting a pretty huge subsidy from the local government. So I'm not sure of how long that's going to be able to continue.
Yeah. Well, I have a friend who lives down in Nashville. He's going to university there. He sent me a picture. He went with a group of people. I believe it was with a church group. They got a basically luxury box to watch the Predators game. This was last year for $45 a head. It was all you can eat or drink. Not alcohol, but
Nice.
all you can eat or drink for $45.
How many people total was that?
I think he told me there was about 25 people. But I mean, just ridiculously good deal.
So about 1,000. You might be able to get a family of 4 into a Canucks game for that.
The Jets, with the Jets' poor play, tickets have gone down in demand. And I mean, my last 2 tickets were in the upper bowl, but they were $65 a piece, which wasn't that bad. It's still finding tough more than 2 tickets together, though, with the Jets. Although
Yeah, I think Vancouver's headed in the same direction too. The attendance has been a little bit lower this year, so that might finally be softening a little bit. I think we had what was it, the longest shutout streak in the league for a while, and the highest ticket prices.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, the Jets are just getting destroyed in this game. What is going on? And only 2 minutes in penalties. Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, with the recent outdoor games, they've announced all the outdoor games for next year now. And with Winnipeg kicking it off in October because nobody wants to be in Winnipeg in January and freeze. It'd be very interesting to see the old Winnipeg Jets play the old Edmonton Oilers. And I'm not going to lie, I'm very tempted to try and get a ticket. But I've heard, they said rumors, that the average ticket price will be $600. And that is a little bit terrifying.
That seems, yeah, just a bit. Well, what's the capacity of the new stadium? That's
33,500
for the amount of people they can fit in. Wow.
They said they were not putting in additional seating. They can if they wanted to, which would get it up to over 40. Or at least 40. But I am not sure about the idea of paying $600 for... I'm guessing that would be for the game and for the old timers game. I don't know what they're calling
You'd assume, yeah, the old timers game and whatever else they have going on.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I like the Jets, but I was fortunate enough to see Teemu Selanne in his last game in Winnipeg. I'd kind of like to see him again play and go back and, watch Howardchuk and Gretzky. And, well, I've heard or seen Teemu Selanne released a blog talking about Teppo Numminen might be playing in the game as well, and released a hint that maybe Ty Domi might be skating up for the Jets, which I would be okay with. Especially if you have Ty Domi lace him up against Dave Semenko, which would be kind of funny.
Yeah, it's interesting to see who shows up for the Oilers.
Well, yes.
Is Gretzky going to do it for sure, or is that...
Yeah, he is absolutely in. He was at the initial press conference saying, yeah, I'm coming. And he said he's bringing Dave Semenko and his other former winger, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Was Curry skating with him at that point? I think Yari Curry's coming anyways, but... Ratcast asks, if you have the AI set the lines, can you still make manual changes?
Depending on how you set it, if you use the option under manager options to turn the AI setting lineups on, it'll override anything you do. But if you've got it set on manual and then just ask for the AI's advice on setting lines as a one-time thing, then you can make whatever edits you want and it won't change them.
Okay. I just had a realization that part of the problem might be is Michael Hutchison has started back-to-back nights in the preseason, and I wondered if maybe Hellebuck should be in there. But it says his fatigue's at 100. So.
And he was right off of an injury too, so shouldn't be that bad. He had a little bit of rest prior to it.
4 goals, though, on 22 shots. Not looking very good. And they're kind of scoring from all the same place, top of the circle. Actually, the Islanders are in quite a bit of trouble, too, right now, with Halak's gone for the next 6 weeks. That's a crushing blow to them. Thomas Greiss is a pretty good goalie, but I'm not sure I would want him being my number one going into the playoffs.
Yeah, although I don't think the expectations were too high for the Islanders in the playoffs regardless. I don't think anybody's getting by Washington this year
well,
out of the East.
Is so good, but it's
maybe Tampa.
Yeah. That Duran situation is also interesting, too. Now, let's see. What do you think the chances are?
Yeah, he's down.
He plays in the playoffs for Tampa.
No, let's see how he does in Syracuse first.
Yeah.
He goes in with a good attitude and works hard. I mean, it's worth bringing up.
Well,
It'd be interesting to see how the team reacts to having him back, too.
So if he goes down to Syracuse and plays well, though, give me a percentage. If he goes down and plays well, he gets called up. What's the chances he puts the skates on and plays in a playoff game?
No, at least 50% if he's on the roster.
At least 50%. See, if they pull him up, I still say they're probably about 20%. Somewhere in the 20-25%.
Yeah, well, it really depends. If they get injuries, if they get go down a couple in a series and they need to shake things up, that's a lot more likely to happen.
Well, he's going to have to apologize to some people on the team, for sure. Ratcast says definitely needs social media.
Yeah, there were a few quotes last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually had that. We've got some code to enable Twitter and that sort of thing in the game. It's just a matter of finding a time to get it in because there's always a priorities, stuff we can put in it actually enhance the game. And I know as soon as we put that Twitter code in, we're going to get a bunch of comments saying, "Why are you putting this Twitter stuff in instead of fixing the AI or some other thing?"
Yeah.
So we'll work it in at some point. We're more or less ready to go with it at any time. It's just a matter of finding a few minutes to put it in at some point.
Well, we'll say it'll probably be in for FHM 3. Likely.
I don't know. Probably maybe not at the start. Decent chance it gets in at some point, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything's got a priority. And it's just a matter of where things fall. Holy cow, that finally scored. 4-1. All right, Jets. Snap to it to start the period. Getting killed on face-offs. Again. But continue to see how it goes here. And as time ticks off, we can see... I'm just going to look back here at the first period. Shots were definitely more favored towards them. Second period was...
You're really not getting a lot of shots from in close.
No.
Everything's top of the circle and maybe 3-4 from the slot.
And third, even... Well, look where we scored. Top of the circle.
Yeah, top of the circle.
And actually, even they scored 2 from top of the circle. And it continues. Just take a look here at some of the game ratings as we're going. We can see we are fairly low across the board, which is expected when it is 4-1. Chuba's -2. Josh Morrissey's -2. But the good news is we are getting a fairly balanced amount of playtime, which is something we wanted to try and get.
Yeah, so there's only been a couple plays in the game, so you can see it makes a big difference in how close the AI sticks to your planned line usage when it isn't getting messed up by special teams going on and off.
Yes, huge difference, which is a surprise when you only have 6 minutes and penalties. This isn't the Winnipeg Jets. 6 penalties. That's 2 games with virtually no penalties for the Jets. Alexander Burmese.
It's still early in the season, though.
All right. Coughs it up. Tuba scores. Burmistrov is on the Islanders. I thought I traded. Maybe I did trade him to them. All right.
Yeah, I know you traded him at some point.
Yeah, I was thinking it was to Tampa, not to the Islanders, but probably was to the Islanders. It was a good move.
I just looked it up. I got the old save here.
Yeah.
You traded Burmistrov and Pavel Kravskovsky, or the rights to Kravskovsky to the Islanders for 3 mid-round picks.
Well, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, Kravskovsky is the only Russian who the Winnipeg Jets have drafted. And he's currently playing in the KHL. He was on the Russian World Junior team. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say he's still over there. The Islanders haven't done anything with him yet, and Burmistrov didn't exactly tear up the league after getting traded last year. He had 3 points in 21 games and wound up getting sent down to Bridgeport.
Well, that sounds about right.
So you didn't lose too much by moving him.
No, there's some reports I saw before the trade deadline that Winnipeg was looking to trade him, but I'm not sure who's going to want him. That's the thing. He's a decent enough player. He's just not the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be for the Jets. So that was a tough loss, so I'm just going to move on. We kind of know what's going on here. Actually, I'm just going to go right to the start of the regular season. So we can quickly autoplay to the 7th, unless there's an injury, which will more than likely happen.
Yeah, pretty likely you're going to get shut down an injury, coming back from an injury, because we did have somebody on the disabled list for a short one.
Check your PMs. Okay, well, I have a bunch of guys who have gotten better and nobody got worse. That's always a good thing. And we can see a long list. Tyler Myers got +1 in team play. Andrew Agozino, who's a guy who I signed to play in the ECHL, up 1 in shot blocking. Scott Kosmachuk, who's actually just got called up to the Jets, is +1 in passing. Chase DeLeo, +1 in hitting. Perfect. And it goes on. Brendan Lemieux, +1 in hitting. We can see many different people, how they're improving, which is always great to see. Alright, so let's take a quick look. 3 weeks. Okay, scouting reports. Now, our scouting reports are here, and we can see a variety of players. We've covered this in earlier streams, but Jeff, do you want to give us a quick rundown again of what the numbers mean?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for watching the cast to catch up, so I'm just waiting for that screen to show up. Almost there any second now. There we go. So yeah, if you just want to stay on that screen, you've got the report from Jari Granstrand at the start of it. You can see the guys he's looking at right now, and I should mention before we get into this that we've completely redone the AI for, I know you've got that turned on in this game. So from now on, it will be a lot more, it will tend to assign scouts to areas where they're most useful. In this case, we've got a Finnish scout who's looking at the Western U.S. After the next update, you're going to see him in Northern Europe instead of running around looking at the NAHL and USHL. But what we've got there are the top guys that he's been looking at. The first, or if you look at the last number after each name, where it says age 17 and then 2.0C out of 3.5C, the numbers are the star ratings. So at the moment, he's about a 2-star player by NHL standards. which is not somebody you want to roster. Generally, you want them to be at least 3, ideally, maybe 3.5 and up. But he has the potential to eventually become a 3.5-star player, which is, NHL caliber. So you might have some potential there with him. The letters after them indicate the scouting level that he's had. If it starts out at E, which is essentially you haven't had a look at him at all. You're just going by word of mouth, or maybe some game tapes that you've seen. You haven't had a scout there looking at him in person. And as you scout him over and over, the level will eventually climb up towards eventually hitting an A, which is the maximum amount of exposure you can have to him. And the more the more scouting you do, the more accurate your report will tend to be. It's never going to be perfectly accurate, but you want to, for the top guys, you want to have an A level of scouting, because you've minimized the error to whatever extent of your scout's abilities you can.
Okay, so is there anything I should do with this report other than maybe just look at it to get an idea of players?
You may want a few of those players. If there's somebody that looks particularly interesting, either put them on their draft list or the short list.
Okay, so say I have...
particularly, you can see some of the OHL guys. There's a 4-star I see in there.
Yeah, Slavomir Napik. So I'm going to click on him. And it brought up his screen. And
so he may have some...
He's a 2
potential...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just a Czech player. It looks like Windsor of the OHL picked him up in the import draft. Hasn't done much far, but decent size, 6 feet tall, and needs to fill in a little bit. He's only 160 pounds, but if the scout thinks he's a 4-star guy, let's maybe put him on the short list, either the short list or the draft list. Actually, it's probably better to put him on the short list for now.
Okay.
Since one of your scouting options will be to go back and rescout the short list. So you may want to say mid-season, once you've got a dozen or 2 guys on there, go back and have one of your scouts focus exclusively on the guys who looked interesting earlier in the year.
Okay, and to do that, I can just go to my action tab here and go to add to short list. Again, you can't see it, but the tab gives a drop down. Or if we were back on this sheet, I can simply hover over his name, right click, and go to add to shortlist.
Yep.
So I could look through all the rest of this, but I'm not going to right now. We can see some players who should never ever get drafted, like this poor guy here named Elvis Yates. He's a 1.0D to a 1.5D. If he's playing for your team in the NHL, you are doing something probably not correct. Or you're really trying to go for that high draft pick the next year. One of the two, I would guess. Oh, we have a trade offer from Chicago Blackhawks. They would like to send me John Dahlstrom for Anthony Peluso. Dahlstrom is a 2.5-star talent, potential of 3.5 stars. He is Swedish, 19 years old, 6 foot, 194 pounds.
Yeah, I think he was a 6th or 7th round pick, 2015. So,
okay,
not really somebody that went that highly in the draft, but it's not like Peluso has got a huge future with you.
No. Major role, goal scorer, supplementary role prospect. Last season he played in 33 games and had 13 points. That's not exactly a goal scorer to me, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on this trade offer?
Although he was in the AHL, he was in the AHL as a 19-year-old last year.
Yeah.
So not necessarily that bad. He didn't get a lot of points. I think you've got Peluso is 27.
Under contract for 1
He's a
more
3-star guy. If you've got another, and if you're not it's not like you're lacking toughness right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe pick up a little bit more scoring, and this guy might have potential as somebody you could play with Matthews or Connor down the road. You do need a left wing.
Or a trade bait for somebody else. All right, let's
Yep.
complete the trade. So we can see an email immediately come saying Chicago and Winnipeg complete the swap. Minor details still need to be worked out. And so we can see what happens. So let's go look, see if we can find a replacement for him. So we are currently have 21 players dressed out of 20. Or number of players, 21 out of 23. So we should probably go down to our minor league system and pull somebody up. I'm just going to check and make sure. Yeah, Andrew Kopp is the only guy who is injured. So let's go down to the Manitoba Moose. And so I lost a winger. So maybe this would be the time to pull up Nick Patan so he would just be quiet and be less angry. Although maybe a guy like Landon Ferraro wouldn't be a bad choice to pull up. Or Scott Kosmachuk. I'll leave it here for a moment while it loads for you so you can give me some thoughts.
Yeah, I think I would. It looks like Patan's injured right now, so that may not be the best option.
He is day to day and he's back tomorrow, apparently. Just looking really quick.
I'm thinking I'm leaning towards Kosmachuk right now.
Kosmachuk, be a good backup guy.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to get a ton of points, but good two-way player to play maybe the fourth line for you.
Yeah, well, he was exactly the kind of guy. It was him or Landon Ferraro was the other guy I was kind of thinking about. I picked up on free agency, but taking, one more person off the Moose will help get them a little bit more play time. Let's see. Maybe I should pull up. No, I'll leave everybody else where they are. All right. So we'll go back here up. And Ratcast says, I just found out you can watch any game play out on the schedule.
Yep, definitely. Look at the league schedule and for that current day, and you'll get the option to play any of those to watch any of those games that you want.
Okay, so we can just click. So we played, and we can click View. If I go into it, do I have to watch the whole game before I can, or just sim it out? Is that what happens, or?
Yeah, you can watch the whole game. It's just like watching your own game. You can choose whatever view speed you want, or just sim to the end of one period, or sim the whole thing out.
Okay, so let's.
You want to click on it? You can take a look.
Let's try Colorado versus Detroit, because well, that was one of the best rivalries of the late '90s. I mean, you had a goalie fight. What more could you ask?
That's Patrick Waugh, though, so it's...
Well, yes. He still looks like he's going to fight coming out of the box. So we can see our setup's still the same, and I click play, and it'll get going. Okay, I know I'm trying to think here. Is next year the last year for the Joe Louis Arena? Is there new?
Don't think it's that soon.
So I put it on really fast here so we can watch. I couldn't remember. I know their development's coming. I was thinking it's in the next couple of years it's gone, which is kind of sad to see the old building go. So much history there. And it's also
it looks like the new one is just looked it up. It's under construction right now, so depends when exactly that gets done.
So you can see this game being played, and
looking it up right now, I don't see any definite announcements for when it's going to be when they're going to start playing hockey there.
I think it's 2017, 2018. I think the Oilers' new one opens this next year. And the year after, it will be their new one opening. I think the saddest part about that, though...
Which will be kind of handy, because that's going to be, I think, the next, not FHM3, but something we want to do for the following version is going to be is going to have more of an emphasis on financial things and possibly some sort of stadium management thing, and not selling popcorn, but deciding
Okay.
when it's time to expand or renovate or do other things with the stadium. That's definitely something I'd like to do in the future.
Well, that's good to know. It's well, I said the saddest part to me about that is you're going to lose the name Joe Louis, which again goes a little bit sad just because of you're going to get some corporate name on there and it's not going to be quite the same. Andrew Ladd is injured.
Yeah, and also makes me feel old because I remember when the Joe Louis Arena opened, and now they're getting rid of it.
Yeah, just 5 days for a sore hamstring. Well, he can still play, unless no, he's got 5 days to heal, so he's perfectly fine. Let's keep going to the regular season so we can get ready to start. You can continue to see as we sim league news. I am putting a lot of guys on waivers apparently. Patrice Cormier, Ben Chirot, Julian Melcurry, Landon.
Yeah, that's anybody, when you get to the beginning of the season, anybody that's sitting on your minor league roster that's waiver eligible automatically gets put on waivers. So it's effectively the same thing that really happens in the NHL without you having to go through and right click on everybody and
say go
do it manually.
Well, that's okay. If I lose
I can't see any of these guys getting picked up.
Ferraro might, but Patrice Cormier again might if somebody wants him. He's a good grindy guy, but we'll see. We'll risk it and see what happens. Oh, it's always so nervous when it's simulating and you're not sure if someone's going to get picked on waivers. Or when you have that waiver claim in going, oh man, I hope he gets to me. Oh, Chris Thorburns on waivers. I'm almost half tempted to try and pick him back up.
Bring him back up and make up for trading Peluso.
Oh man, there is a lot of players on waivers.
Yep, the roster movement at the start of the season.
Yeah. Whoa.
And to sneak a guy through waivers, actually.
Matt Molson is on waivers. Matt Halischuk. Oh man, all these guys who used to play for the Jets now are somewhere else. Who I've traded away. Oh, let's see. Ratcat says put it mostly on AI and then sign 2 good free agents. Haven't lost in 7 games. 3rd place now. Yay me.
There we go.
Well, congratulations on that. I'm gonna. I can't remember who did I trade. Chris Thorburn too. I gotta check that out now. He was traded to Montreal for a 4th round pick. End of last year. Okay, well, maybe I'm going to try and grab him back. Give me a little bit more depth and a little bit of toughness. Maybe keep my rookies.
Yep, the only...
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's not like he has a big contract, so that's not a huge deal to you. He's a little older and kind of taking a roster spot, but he gave up a little toughness with Peluso to get that, to get a younger guy, so...
Yeah.
If you can get Thorburn back now, you've got a draft pick and a young guy for Peluso, essentially.
Yeah. Well, 2 draft. Yeah, never mind. I'm speaking in out of turn, so let's try. And let's go to the next day and see what happens. I have the opener roster spot anyways right now with Andrew Kopp still being injured. And let's see, apparently I got Thorburn. So we can just check. Carolina Hurricanes have waived Eddie Lack. Missed that one.
Bit of a surprise.
Chris Thorburn is back.
Thorburn looks like his stay in Montreal lasted all of about 2 months.
Well, that's perfect. Chris Thorburn is a very nice guy. And so he's back.
I see why the Hurricanes waived Lack. It looks like they traded for James Reimer in the offseason.
Did they now? Let me just check this out. If I can find where Carolina Hurricanes are. James Reimer and Cam Ward. They traded for him. He gets his contract renewed before the trade, just before the trade deadline, and then gets traded on July 1st. Ouch.
Leafs.
That would be a very Leafs move. All right, so we are at actually.
Well, they renewed it back in February at least. So.
Well, just before the trade deadline. No, we're going to keep you here for 3 years. Gone. That would be a very.
You say 3 years? We've had 3 months.
Very Leafs thing to do. Anyways, I think that should wrap up tonight's Franchise Hockey Manager 2 stream. Thank you, as always, for joining us. My name, if you don't remember, is Adam. I'm the community manager. With me, as always, is Jeff. You can find us on Twitter at Franchise Hockey. You can find us on Facebook. Just search Franchise Hockey Manager. You can come to catch our Twitch streams live every week on Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's at www.twitch.tv/OOTP Developments. This video will be archived up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/OOTP Developments. You can come to our forums, which is www.ootpdevelopments.com. And there is a new blog out from Holy Goalie of the Game Hounds podcast, which Jeff was on last week. If you did not catch that, I would suggest going to listen to it. You can find links for that on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and I will add one as well to this show. Jeff, is there anything else?
Just want to mention again that the next update is coming along pretty rapidly, and hopefully we're going to have that for you very soon. I think I'll do what I did last time, and I'm not sure if it'll be out right away as soon as the update is released, but I'll do another little video explaining some of the changes we've made in it. And other than that, we will be back again next week, picking up our game with the 1979 version of the Jets, who are not doing anywhere near as well as the 2016 version. So we'll be looking